Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormybman, and I am back. Welcoming you to Nerds on Culture with Stormybman for this Monday, August 24th, 2026. This is number 170 in the series of Nerds, where this evening we're talking Blade 2, a look back on the Daywalker. Yeah, this was the follow-up to the 1998 sensational hit and classic now, starring Wesley Snipes as the Daywalker, half human, half vampire, and the ultimate vampire hunter, straight off the pages of Marvel Comics. You know, when the first film hit theaters, audiences didn't know what to expect. But after leaving that first incarnation of the character cinematically, people were moved and they couldn't wait to see more from the character that Wesley Snipes brought to life. Just an overall action, pulsating adrenaline rush this film was. You know, society has always had some type of infatuation with vampires. But to see Blade come around and go after these vampires, just uh, outstanding portrayal by Wesley Snipes. You know, sometimes certain individuals are made to play certain characters. And so Snipes as Eric Brooks slash Blade, a half vampire, half human Daywalker who hunts vampires, who's highly skilled in martial arts and always has vampire killing weapons. Chris Christopherson was his mentor, Abraham Whistler, like a father figure and a weaponsmith that helped develop the weapons for Blade. It was some outstanding stuff. You just couldn't believe that Whistler would come up with more and more type of arsenal for Blade to do his work in the streets. It was just well received by audiences. The movie was outstanding, and so we were blessed with a 2002 sequel, and it was simply called Blade 2. Released in cinemas March 22nd, 2002 by New Line Cinema and co-produced by Snipes' Amen-Ra Films. This was something that took Blade a little further into the vampire legacy. The film takes place in Prague, and he's looking for Whistler, who he was thought dead after being attacked by Deacon Frost in the first film, but had turned into a vampire and was held prisoner by these vampires. And so Blade took off to Prague, where he had information that that's where they were holding Whistler. Also, a part of this film was a new breed of vampire that really scared audiences. There were these different types that had, cinematic wise, they were presented in a way that they were scary. I mean, these vampires, and they infected people that turned them into, I think what they called them were like reapers, which were a mutated creature of a vampire with a ravenous thirst for blood, and they were highly infectious with their bites. Their jaws would totally open up, and I'll give a little shot of that in a minute, but it was something like we hadn't seen before, and at the same time it was gross, fearsome, and something that we knew that we needed someone like Blade to take care of these creatures. Yeah, so welcome everybody. That's what the topic is for tonight's show. I'm waiting for my brother Drew Titan, who had to take care of something, so he's a little bit delayed. But as I kind of give you a little background on the film, I want you to know that he's supposed to be joining me, but we spoke just before it was airtime, and he had to take care of something, so he should be joining in just a moment. Right now, I want to take a moment and acknowledge who we got in the chat over on YT. Adrian Vitt in the building saying, yo, Professor S, salute. This stream gonna be lit while sipping tears of gun fanboys. Laugh out loud. Yeah, and as a reminder, for the full experience of nerds, you can click that link and join me over on Rumble. where you'll get additional aspects of the show that YT doesn't allow. Yeah. And the link is pinned in the top of the chat there. So don't forget to do that when you're given the green light, huh? We got Growing with Soul back with us saying salute family. Smash the like button, great peoples. Yes, sir. Hen Dog is back with us saying salute everyone. At work with it. Yes, sir. Young Deezy is also in the building. He says, oh, hell yeah. Yeah, Young Deezy, this is what it is. Mr. Shelton is out there. He says, I love Blade. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hen Dog says, the guy that played Nomak was cold too. Yes, he was. Young Deezy said, vampires with rabies. Yeah, man, they were wild, weren't they? Troll Slayers in the building says, Blade was badass. Yeah, why I say it in the past tense? He is badass. The ultimate vampire hunter. Yeah. And Hen Dog says, fun fact, Resident Evil got inspiration from Blade 2 with the dogs. Really, is that true? It wouldn't surprise me because there was a lot to be said and experienced by the film once it got out there, because the special effects were amazing, and including some of those vampires that had come to Blade's hideout when they were dressed in the black like ninja, and they were leaping around through his facilities and his alarms had gone off. When I saw that scene there, and I talked to Drew about this, I said, man, you know what? I could see a Spider-Man film coming very soon because of how those vampires were moving in the dark in those black suits. They look just like black versions of Spider-Man. And guess what? Spider-Man came out not long after that. But Blade really kicked off the cinematic universe of comic book characters in live action. And so Blade 2 didn't disappoint. One of the big changes from the first film to this film was Blade decked out in his black leather coat and armor under his coat. His coat, the inner lining of it was red in this film, which was pretty cool because with all the black and to have those flashes of red when he was moving around, fighting, running, jumping, leaping, whatever, it added to the color splash of the page. It was very well represented in that. And of course, with Wesley displaying his martial prowess once again, this was, again, well done. Action choreography, many people may not be aware of this, but Donnie Yen, the Hong Kong action star for a number of years, was originally brought in as the action choreographer for the film. And he was doing a tremendous job allowing Wesley to show his martial prowess on screen. But then the director had kind of pulled back from that and brought in another action choreographer because he felt that Donnie was turning the action into too much of Hong Kong like action. And that was very unfortunate because at that time, that was kind of something that was needed, you know. And he played a character in the film called Snowman, one of the vampire mutes that joined the Vampire Pact that headed up by Wesley Snipes' Blade as they went to take down the Reapers. This was very action-packed. It was something like we hadn't seen before, and there was plenty of action in this film. Once again, directed by Guillermo del Toro, who is a noted director, have had a lot of great films under his hat. This film, written by David Goyer, who also wrote the first film, and it was based on, of course, the comic of Blade. And it also starred, along with Snipes and Chris Christopherson, Donnie Yen, Ron Perlman, Leonore Valera, and Varela, and Norman Reedus and Luke Gross. This was all brought about with a lot of improvement on the first film. The first film was excellent, really, but it wasn't expected to make the splash that it did. So they did have to up the ante when the second film came around. One of the other aspects of what to expect from a Blade film is observing the introduction of him in each film. The opening action sequence, whether it's across the opening titles or just the first scene of the film, you always get that impactful moment where Blade is doing something very exciting. And in this film, it opens with him entering this warehouse where he had word that that's where Whistler might be kept captive. And he's going in there, taking out vampires left and right and everything. And there's this tremendous scene where he dives out a window. And as he's falling down, the camera follows him out of the window all the way down to the ground where he lands with that typical superhero landing that Yelena Belova talked about in Black Widow, about Black Widow doing the superhero landing. Why you do this when you land? Like, you have one arm out like this. Blade did his in this film. So it's like, that is a running joke in the Marvel Universe about the superhero landings. Even Deadpool in his first film talked about the superhero landing. And I always laugh and chuckle when I hear them talk about that, the superhero landings. But that opening scene with Blade fighting these guys, and then he's on the motorcycle and he's trying to trace these vampires down, and how he goes through those guys, it's really action-packed and high octane. Very dramatic and also action presentation of introducing Blade in this film. Interestingly, the third film had a great opening scene with opening titles, and Blade uses a different weapon in that film, which is like the Chinese spear on a chain, but it's, it was devised by Whistler, and this particular spear has that silver spear on the end with the chain, and Wesley is spinning it around like the martial artists do when they use it in the Kung Fu films, but he's spinning it and he's stabbing these various vampires during the opening title sequence for Blade Trinity. We'll cover that film in the future. We already did the first Blade film, but we wanted to come back and revisit this film. Looks like we got somebody else in the building. We got Shogun 76 in the building, the real Shogun of Harlem. He says, I think the Blood Pack got punked really quickly. Yeah, man. Those Reapers were vicious, man. Like it was said earlier in the chat by Young Deezy. They were vampires with rabies, man. It was wild. He was going after people, man. As soon as they bite you, within 10 minutes, you turn into one of them. And what was so bad about them was, that venom that enters your bloodstream when they bite you and changes you into one of them, you just become a blood-lusting vampire that all you want to do is die. And they were afraid that the Reapers were going to just wipe out the entire race and population because, within hours, a couple became hundreds. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they were. It was kind of crazy how they were presented, and he says we wanted to see that. Young Deezy says he choreographed the sword fighting scene when they broke into his lab. Yeah, he choreographed more than that. Some of what he choreographed, believe it or not, Young Deezy in chat, was left on the cutting room floor. If they bring Blade back for Secret Wars, people should petition that Guillermo del Toro release an uncut version of this film on home video, because they left a lot of action on the cutting room floor. A lot of action on the cutting room floor. Yeah. Shogun says, see, people like you and me, you knew Donnie Yen. You knew who Donnie Yen was. When I saw him, I got excited. Oh yeah. I had seen Donnie Yen going all the way back to the late 80s when he was a young action star being choreographed by Yuen Wu Ping, because Donnie's fame actually came a lot later. One of the films that really helped him was Iron Monkey, the early 90s film where he played the father of a young Wong Fei Hung in that film. And in that film, the youthful kid Wong Fei Hung was actually played by a female. A girl played young Wong Fei Hung in that film. And it was historical from an Asian film's vantage point, because that had never been done before, even though female action stars had taken precedent over male stars from the inception of the films, from movies, because it was interesting that it was frowned upon in the Chinese culture that men acted in films. So the females would play dual roles. They would play male and female roles. And then slowly men began to enter the film universe. But in the Chinese operas and swordplay films, a lot of the heroes were heroines, actually, in the early portion of these films. So it's something that a lot of people are unaware of, but it's something that was very true. Young Deezy says, my intro to Donnie Yen was in Highlander Endgame. Oh yeah, well, he had been on the scene far longer, earlier than that, my friend. Donnie was a guy who had been around, man, a long time. His mother taught him martial arts from when he was a little boy, and then sent him to China to, well, he was born and raised in China, but sent him to the Shaolin Temple, where he learned martial arts there. And at the age of 18, Yuen Wu Ping put him in a film in 1984 called Drunken Tai Chi. And then later, he made a breakout role when he starred opposite Jet Li in Once Upon a Time in China 2. So, but 1993 saw him starring in Iron Monkey. And from there, he started, really coming on strong. One of my favorites of his was a little independent film that he did, and it was also his directorial debut. Donnie played in a film called The New Big Boss, also Legend of the Wolf, it's called. And that film was from 1997. A really high octane action film that was. So there's a lot to be seen and said about Donnie Yen and where he has come from, because he is not only a true martial artist, but a guy who really he idolized Bruce Lee, and he always took the philosophies of Bruce Lee and applied them to his cinematic experience when trying to make action films, which was to make quality, make it like real, make it a grade above, and things of that nature. He was really someone that, again, it took him a long time, but he was more than capable. And it's nice to know and see that he has come so far. He's 63 now, believe it or not. But when he was in his late 20s and early 30s, the man was amazing. You know, and that's just talking about Donnie Yen. So, you know, Shogun is saying, did you ever see him in the Kung Fu Killer? Oh, of course. Donnie Yen in the Kung Fu Killer, that was a definite excellent film for him. But one of my favorites of his is SPL, Xiao Po Lang. SPL has to be one of the best action films out of Hong Kong that I've ever seen in my life. And if you've only seen the American version, you're doing yourself a disservice, because that film has a different ending for the Hong Kong uncut version. Xiao Po Lang is a film also known as Kill Zone. This film right here, it stars Donnie Yen and Sammo Hung, and Donnie Yen is playing a police inspector, and Sammo Hung is playing a triad boss who reminds me of Kingpin in the Daredevil series, which is interesting because Sammo is not a big guy at all. Sammo is about 5'7", maybe 5'8", but he's really, he and Bruce Lee were like the same height, Sammo, so they were small guys. But Sammo was just a heavy set guy. But in this film, Sammo's triad boss is so villainous that he comes off the screen as a giant. That's why I mentioned him as like Kingpin, played by what's his name, Jeffrey D'Onofrio in the Daredevil series. But in that film, Xiao Po Lang, SPL, Yen and Sammo, they have an amazing fight scene in there. But also in that film is Wu Jing, who plays a hired assassin of Sammo's character. And they have this one fight, Donnie and Wu Jing, in an alley. And Wu Jing plays this assassin who is so deadly with the knives, he's able to cut his victims and make them bleed out within seconds, the way he is with these handheld knives. And Donnie and he have a face-off in this alley. And Donnie uses what I call that what do you call it? Beta stick, the kind of metal stick that pulls out like an antenna. And he's fighting Wu Jing with that. He's fighting him against his knives. My goodness, you guys, if you've never seen that movie, and the music and the action, it is some of the best you will ever see in your life. Xiao Po Lang came out in, I want to say, when did that come out? 2005. And is one of the most amazing action films that you will ever see. But you have to see the Chinese uncut version, because the way that film ends is going to surprise the hell out of you. It is that good. I don't think Drew has seen this film, and if he does, we got to do a review of it on Nerds, or I'll just end up doing a Nerds review on my own because it's not a kung fu film. It's a modern day action thriller where it's like cops and triads. But boy, the action that Samo and Donnie brought to it, because they're using a little bit of grappling and mixed martial arts, falling on the floor and all of that stuff, fighting on the floor. What an amazing, amazing film. SPL. Yes, sir. Uh, Shogun says that dude had that Frankenstein shoe. Man, he was tough. Uh, Young DZ says the alley fight with Wu Jing was crazy, wasn't it? I'm telling you, bro. Young DZ, we'll leave it to you to tell people about it, bro. Leave it to you to tell people because it was one of the most amazing points of interest in that film. And when you saw Wu Jing get cut loose on people, you just knew, because some of Donnie's police force, some of those guys, they fell at the hands of Wu Jing's character, and he was merciless. It was like you were wondering if Donnie was gonna survive that dude, right? So, yeah, buddy. Man, where my brother Drew at? He ain't come yet. Let me see. I'm going to see here. Yeah, I can do this. Young DZ, do me a favor, bro. Young DZ, do me a favor and click that link. Click that link, Young DZ. The link is for Young DZ. Let's see here. See, yeah, I got it. Let's see here. Okay, Young DZ, I got you, brother. How you doing this evening?
I'm good, man. What's going on, Sensei?
What's going on? I thought I'd pull you up here too while we're waiting for Drew, and you can stay with us when he does pop in. He had to take care of something with his family real quick before coming, so it's probably running a little longer. But at the same time, I wanted to welcome you up here because, being our resident stat man and also being a guy that really knows a lot of this content too, you deserve that opportunity to be up here and share with us. But as we were talking about Blade 2 and Donnie's contributions to the film, what would you say about Blade 2 and as opposed to Blade 1, where you thought it may have raised the bar, or did it just kind of carry through the similar, or was it a drop off for you? Where do you place it? I'll let you know what I think, but I wanted to ask you about that. How did Blade 2 impact you?
Man, like my anticipation of going into the second Blade was just it was just like through the roof because I was like when I was in school in college, me and a couple of people in my dorm and even my RA, we was always talk about like movies like Blade and The Matrix or whatever. And then around that time, Blade 2, Blade was getting a sequel and The Matrix was also getting the sequels 2 and 3. So, the conversations on campus was just going crazy. So that semester, when I came home for spring break, that Blade 2 had came out that weekend. And I'm telling you, man, from the opening scene, from when the Nomak was like, I hate vampires, and then all that, and then Blade giving a reintroduction, and the opening scene when he through the warehouse and shooting everybody up. It was like I was expecting crazy action because I knew like the first Blade was, because they had to restrain it a little bit because, the first Blade had a tight budget.
Yeah.
But when the second one came out and I knew more money was put into it and you could tell just off the trailers.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I didn't even really care. All I had, like the acting just had to be decent for me. But when I found out that Donnie Yen was in it, I was like, man, I just wanted to see like crazy action. Like that was like my whole focus, man. And I'm trying to tell you, like the sword fighting scene when they were disguised as the little ninjas and they broke into his little warehouse and he do the guard lights and all that, man. And then the going into the club and then the sewers. It's like every action scene just did it, man. It just did it. Like my excitement was just so through the roof, man. I left that theater with just a huge freaking grin, like smile, man, like cheek. I'm looking like Jack Nicholson from the Joker from the first Batman, dog.
Yeah, man, it was really cool. And one of the first things that I noticed was in that opening scene of Blade 2 when Wesley, he's on the hunt looking for Whistler, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he ran down that corridor in slow motion and his coat opened up and you saw the red lining inside of his coat.
Oh, man.
And it was in slow motion, right? I was like,
man.
Oh, snap, he got an upgrade on his coat. It's like, man, it was, like you said, they were able to invest more money into the film.
Mm-hmm.
And the special effects and the action that they invested in, they really upped the ante. And that director, Guillermo del Toro, he's a very good director. It's like he has a fantastic mind for fantasy stuff. It's like, I don't know if you've heard of his film Pan's Labyrinth.
Pan's Labyrinth, yeah.
Yeah. It's an excellent film as well. And really weird special effects in there and everything. And so that's what he does. But this film, his touch and the Reapers, oh my goodness, man, the Reapers. Man. Tell the people what you think about the Reapers, man, because
like I said, man, the freaking vampires with rabies, man, that is like, man, I couldn't believe it, man, when that first scene, when his that mouth just opened up like that, and I was like, what?
I put it on the screen there. Look at that.
Right there. Oh my God.
I put it on the screen. If you could take a look at your screen and see it. I see
it. Yeah. They're like, yo, I'm like, where are they going with this? This is crazy. And then like after that, like I did my homework on Guillermo del Toro. I said, oh yeah, this is definitely him.
Man, that is crazy. Salute to the brother Joe Townsend in the chat there. I see you out there, brother. Man, listen, that thing right there, bro, that's enough to make you pass out when you see that, right? It's like, man, what the devil is that? Oh my goodness, that is gross, bro.
Yeah, man. And then like they had the practical one when the guy with the big hammer, when he got caught by the Reaper,
Yeah.
That was even gross, man, because then you could see the stuff coming out his back.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That was, oh man.
But you know what? You know what, Sensei? I'm gonna tell you that my only gripe with the film is that we ain't get a Wesley Snipes versus Donnie Yen fight, man. Oh my God. They robbed us of that, bruh.
Yeah, yeah. And they let Donnie's character get changed and we never saw him anymore.
Yeah.
You know, because one of those beasts got a hold of him.
Yeah.
And we saw him down and the beast getting up from him, but it was like that was it for Donnie's character.
Well, that's because he died when what happened that scene, it was the guy with the hammer, he turned, and then when he bit Donnie Yen, and then the chick with the red hair, she ran up the ladder and opened the sewer, and the sun came in. So when the sun came in, it burnt that whole part of that sewer to a crisp.
Right, but the thing is that Donnie did more in the film, but they cut it. That's why that's why I was saying if Wesley Snipes is able to play in Secret Wars, people should petition for Guillermo del Toro to release a director's cut of this film. Because there's probably a half hour to 45 minutes more footage that we didn't see. Yeah, it's that much. It's that much.
Man.
And like I said, he cut back on some of the action that Donnie had put in there because, like I said, he felt like Donnie was turning it into, excuse me, a Hong Kong action film with the way he was choreographing. So he brought in some Western choreographers to kind of balance things out and make it not so much like a Hong Kong action.
Yeah, because that sword fighting scene, that was definitely Hong Kong right there.
Yeah, and that scene was a lot longer too.
Oh, okay.
It was longer when they had invaded his domain. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, didn't you see when they were swinging around on those rafters and everything? And I was like, when I saw that, I was like, man, they could make a Spider-Man movie with them characters moving around like that, because that's what they look like, Black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Yeah. And it was crazy because like they didn't even make a sound. I was like,
it was silent.
Silent as hell.
Yeah. And Wesley, he went and he grabbed his sword and he told the boys like, knock lights, and dude turned the lights off, and it was like he could see in the dark. You know, that's another thing that they didn't like really tell you, but you were supposed to figure it out that, you know, Blade can see at nighttime like he see in the day, you know. And that's another thing, like why you know he wears those shades, but you know Blade's eyes are not supposed to be the color of a regular person's eyes. It's supposed to be a different color. His retinas and everything are a different color. Did you know that?
Nah, I knew his eyes were like lighter, but
yeah, it's like because he has, you know, that's part of his special abilities. He can see like at night, like a cat or something. It's like it's weird to explain it, but that's one of his abilities. They just never got around to really incorporating everything. In 3 films, you know, they focus a lot on action and stuff, but we need to know more about the stuff that Blade can do, because you know how that stuff, like when we watch Batman, like Batman Begins or even The Dark Knight, you remember there were scenes like when Batman be talking to somebody and they look away and they look back and Batman be gone.
Oh,
you know, that kills me when they do that. But Blade can do stuff like that too. You know, he could be there one moment and then disappear on you. It's like you be looking around like where you go, you know, that kind of thing. So
yeah, I heard like in the films they didn't even display like you said, a lot of Blade's abilities, like because there's one ability that I heard. I don't know if it's true because I'm not too familiar with the Blade comics, but one of the guys I know told me that Blade, like when he's going up against like superpowered people, if he bites them, he can inherit a little bit of their strength and their abilities for a short period of time, but then it doesn't stay.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that's true, but
yeah, that's interesting. I didn't hear about that power of his.
Oh, okay.
But it wouldn't surprise me. You know, it wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, one of the things that I like about this film also, and I do think that they did raise the bar, was that excuse me, Blade's ability to think things through. You know, it's like he had like a kinetic sense of being able to see or foresee. And like when he developed that little device to put, like he put the one in the back of Ron Perlman's head when because he knew that dude was gonna try to betray him or something, right? It was like Blade was really cool, you know, and Whistler had taught him well. It's like his ingenuity, it was on point. They just thought he was a physical, you know, being, but Blade was intelligent. You know what I'm saying? He thought some stuff through. It tripped me out when he finally rescued Whistler, and he told him, he was like, you know, regardless of whatever, if there's any of you left in there, he was like, when the morning comes, those blinds are gonna open up.
Whether you're cured or not.
Whether you're cured or not, he told him. And then he went in there that next morning and he opened the door and he looked around, and where he left Whistler wasn't there. And he kind of like looked like, uh-oh. And then he kind of looked over in the corner and he's sitting over in the dark. and he said, how you feel? Dude was like hammered shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, man. And I think Chris Christopherson and he had a very good chemistry and rapport in the films. It's sad that Chris has passed on, but
yeah,
you know, he was, you know, a very good player opposite of Wesley's character here in this film.
Yeah. Did you know that Whistler wasn't even a character in the comic book? He was introduced in the Spider-Man animated series, because there was a few episodes when where Blade was hunting Michael Morbius in the Spider-Man animated series, and we saw the character Whistler, so it got popular. So when they was doing the Blade film, they just said, you know what, let's incorporate that character into the movies.
Now I didn't know that. I did not know that. Yeah. And what's interesting also is that the film Blade was my introduction to Blade, because I didn't read his comic.
Yeah. Well, see, happened? Yeah, but I knew about Blade through the Spider-Man one. But yeah, go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off.
But what happened for me is that, you know, my neighbor, he and I would always exchange ideas on movies and stuff like that. And Blade had come out. He had seen it, and he asked me, he was like, hey man, have you seen Blade yet? I was like, no, what's Blade? And he was like, Wesley Snipes, the vampire hunter, and this and that. I was like, no. He's like, dude, you gotta see this movie. He was like, man, Wesley is kicking butt in there. He was like, man, I gave him several standing ovations in the theater. I was like, you kidding me? He was like, no man, you gotta go check it out. So I went to see it too, and he was right. I was like, man, you know, I just knew we were going to get a ton of Blade movies from Wesley, because, you know, it suited him so well, you know, the character.
Yeah. Yeah. And they dropped the ball with that third movie, man. Like, damn, they're making him a side character. I'm like, man, come on, y'all.
Yeah, they that was something that was done by that writer who actually directed the third film, that David Goyer guy.
Yeah.
He had it out for Wesley for whatever reason. And it wasn't cool at all because Wesley did enough to get a lot of notoriety, but he was trying to take Ryan Reynolds and Jessica, what's her name? He he was trying to make them the star of the film, and he was like, I didn't agree to this, that, you know, this is my movie. And they were like changing scenes, changing dialogue and all of that. Now, did you know this, that the character that Ryan Reynolds is playing in there,
Hannibal King?
Yeah, he's supposed to be Wade Wilson, but they couldn't get the rights. So they changed the name and they changed some of his story, but that was supposed to be Deadpool.
Oh, okay. That makes sense now, because when you look at him, I'm like, he don't look nothing like Hannibal King, the comic book character.
Right. And do you notice how he was always talking smack and had a smart dialogue and everything? You know, every moment he was saying some crazy stuff. Remember?
Yeah. He was basically Deadpool in the Blade movie.
Yep. That's what he was. And they couldn't get the rights to, because you remember this was New Line Cinema, and the Deadpool rights were with Fox, so they couldn't do it. But they were trying when they were writing the movie. That's what they were trying to do. So, and I was like, man, that's interesting. It's like when you find out little stuff like that. But yeah, this is one of those things that, you know, it really kicked off. But I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to pause things here. The rest of the show is going to be on Rumble. So I'm going to take us off of YT. And for everybody that want to take a moment and grab a drink or something, a beverage, and go to the restroom, because we're going to switch everything over to Rumble. And Young D, you just stay right there. I think Drew might have had a situation where he couldn't get away from what he had to do. So you can just rock with me, but stay right there as we do this. Let's see here.